Today we are talking about a big situation in K-pop right now. The death of ASTRO's Moonbin, we will talk about that. I also want to get into BTS members' reaction to everything and how they're dealing with this situation, and it's just very heartbreaking. I want to start off with a few disclaimers. First off, the proceeds for this video will be going to a mental health organization. I haven't decided which. I think this is the most fitting and the best way I can use this platform to be able to attempt to do some good and hopefully help other people. I will also be adding some hotlines you can reach out to if you're struggling with your mental health and are considering doing things you should not be. I want to clarify something and would kindly ask you to leave this channel and never come back if you have subscribed and still honestly think I'm the type of person to make fun of death, sexual assault, or self-harm, all of which I have my own stories about. This video is simply not a joke and meant to talk about the issue and hopefully bring more awareness to the cause. With that said, I want to give a trigger warning as we are going to be talking about the death of an idol. If you are not aware, news hit quite randomly that on April 19th, boy group ASTRO's Moonbin was found dead. It was believed he was found dead by his manager and it was at his residence in Gangnam. People found no signs of struggle, although an autopsy is expected to take place. Right now, it is currently believed and reported by several media sites as a self-unaliving situation. We obviously don't know that for sure, but a lot of people tend to believe that to be true given the history of K-pop idols doing this. I don't know what he personally struggled with, but there is a reason why this happens so often within K-pop. People don't have any empathy. When they decide that they hate someone for the smallest reasons, they will literally stop at nothing to hurt that person or leave mean comments everywhere. Every single person, including myself, who has ever talked about K-pop has experienced something similar. For someone at the scale that Moonbin was at, you can only imagine the level of mean people leaving mean comments for no reason, a lot of which actually literally makes no sense. It can feel like there is no end or that you can never be correct. You are always in the wrong. This can be a feeling you get with the haters or a feeling you get within higher-ups putting a lot of pressure. This is no way a direct response to what happened with Moonbin, but just what has happened to a lot of idols in the past. Moonbin's family and team has asked for privacy, so this means don't send the label a bunch of questions, and also asks the paparazzi and fans to not sit outside Moonbin's family's home and just harass them for answers. We don't know any official answers right now, but that is okay, and honestly, if he did that to himself, then he must have felt like he couldn't talk about those reasons or didn't want to, and we can respect that even now. I also want to take this moment to talk a little bit about Moonbin and what his legacy has been. Born in 1998, he was an actor, singer, and of course, K-pop group member. He has acted in K-pop dramas in 2019 and 2020 and is described as a very kind and cheerful person. He is always seen with a smile, and so a lot of people close to him didn't even know if he was going through anything, and any thoughts of any possible enemies hurting him just doesn't seem likely. Moonbin was also reported to be close friends with Jung Kook and Sungkwan from 17. This of course made a lot of the BTS Jung Kook fan accounts start posting about Moonbin and posting a lot. The hashtag or trend #NotBTS actually started to trend as many of the big BTS accounts started to post about Moonbin and made sure to clarify in their post that this is not about BTS. And I think this is a great thing to post about. Honoring someone that has also paved their own way in K-pop and has made such a big impact in K-pop. Anyone who gets into K-pop a little bit will eventually have heard of the group, and if you're just into K-dramas, you might have run into him as well. The fact that this wonderful friend was also friends with Jung Kook makes it quite appropriate for these BTS and Jungkook fan accounts to be posting about it. There's footage online where we see Jungkook at an ASTRO show or watching ASTRO during an award show and even calling out Moonbin when he was on stage. The two were close to each other, and so a lot of people were definitely wondering what Jungkook's reaction might have been after his death. I think it's very common to have a thought after someone's passing to hope that the people that were around the person who passed to be okay. Jungkook was also very close to Yoonwoo, who is a part of ASTRO as well. They have been spotted together often and on many journeys together during their free time. So Jungkook was definitely very close with all of the members of ASTRO, and I can't even imagine how tough he must be taking the news of all this. I can only imagine how weird it is for celebrities to get such news, because as a regular person, if you hear this, you're already in a lot of shock. It's hard to believe, and you might not believe it. Bringing the media in, which often lies, and then hearing the story maybe from the news first can create this alternate universe for a moment, where you have no idea what's going on and why people are saying this, and why won't anyone pick up the phone? Jung Kook has been very silent on social media, and we can understand why. Jung Kook is definitely the type of person, when he feels emotional and sad, to not really reach out but be by himself. And I do think he is upset and crying because he is a soft soul, and this is hard news to take and even understand. When someone dies so suddenly, you as the people who are alive have a lot of questions. You don't understand why, and if you understood and knew that said person was struggling, then you could have maybe prevented it. But it probably was a shock, and how do you get past that? I don't know. Jung Kook would probably want to process all this alone, and this tends to be a very normal human reaction to people. People tend to want to hide and cry alone rather than publicly show that. However, I do think there will be a post in honor of Moonbin eventually. Jung Kook did delete his Instagram and stuff, so it's not like we were going to get any personal posts like that. The other BTS members also had some sort of reaction as well. I imagine everyone in ASTRO was very close to BTS, and I can't even begin to think what the group is going through. RM actually posted something that was quite heartbreaking and didn't really have to even say anything, and we can all know what he is talking about. RM posted a black screen with no words, nothing, and that really is enough to take a moment of silence for Moonbin and his legacy. I think this was very appropriate and all that he could do right now. This was considered such a heartbreaking photo, and he really doesn't even have to say 2 words for all of us to know exactly what he is referring to. I'm also sure RM is sending his love to Moonbin and his family, and then behind the scenes they are likely all reaching out to find a way to support. Moonbin probably had more than enough money, but I would imagine a lot of his friends would pitch in for things like the funeral and stuff. Moonbin's family mentioned wanting to have a private and intimate funeral, so we won't know when that is, but it's probably soon, as funerals tend to be. The family asks for everyone to pray and wish everyone well, and I am sure Moonbin and his family were in millions of prayers last night. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I was the biggest fan of the group. I wasn't a hater, I just never really kept up with them. And I feel like this is appropriate to mention, as I want to say I'm not a person to suddenly jump on and say, oh my god, I love him after they pass, and be fake about it. However, a human being passing at 25 and in such a way is so tragic and sad, and of course leaves this shock wave. I hope this opens up a conversation again in K-pop about how we need to treat others. There's people on Twitter currently who are using the platform after the death to spread hate and say awful things about Moonbin. And he's gone. What is the point? I think we need to have a change here, and the platform not only needs to ban these people, but I think authorities need to come knocking on their door, and they need psychological evaluation. The issue with a lot of these comments online is that they don't get taken down. You don't have to necessarily give death threats or even violent threats for the comments to be really mean and be considered bullying. Calling a member annoying without any reason is also bullying, because a lot of the times when you speak to a hater and try to understand what it is they hate about another idol, they don't give a reason. The reason is, I don't know why, I just do. Or everyone else does, so I do. And that is where all of this becomes a real issue. If you take nothing else away from this, please just be kind and stop writing terrible things online. And I know the majority of people who write negative things aren't watching me, and definitely not watching up to here. But if you are a small percentage, then please reconsider what your actions could do. And if you have nothing nice to say, stop retweeting mean things, stop writing mean things, and just carry on with your life. This has really gone on long enough, and it needs to stop. These are literal people's lives. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.